Hello everyone, welcome to my bed. I'm currently sick, which is fun, but it's okay. I have my strepsils here because I can pretend that they're actually doing something. I have my throat spray here, which, is advertised as great tasting when we all know it's not. I am here today to share with you a bookcase tour. I've been watching some booktubers lately. I felt super inspired. I feel like I learned so much about people through what they read and what's on their bookcase. The first thing I do when I go to someone's house is investigate their bookcase and make severe judgments about them. So I'm going to do that and see how we go. Because I don't have the space to film, because my room is like a shoebox, I'm going to... It's almost going to be like a montage of basically photos of the books, with a voiceover saying what they are, etc. If they're really good, then I'll say that I like them. If they're shit, then so that's what I'm going to do. So continue to watch, continue to enjoy. I hope you get to know more about me through my bookcase. Alright, I'm recording these parts in sections as per the photos of the bookcases that should be appearing on your screen now. Okay, for the first one, we have The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers by Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King by Tolkien. We have The Hunger Games Catching Fire, and The Hunger Games Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. We have The Book of the Lost Tales No. 1 by Tolkien. We have Divergent, Insurgent, Allegiant, and For the Divergent Collection by Veronica Roth. We have Maze Runner, The Scorched Trials, Death Cure, Kill Order by James Dashner. We have The Short Life of Britannia, Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer, The Host by Stephanie Meyer, Very Good Lives by J.K. Rowling, which is her actual commencement speech that she gave at Harvard. We have The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling, The Hobbit by Tolkien, A Series of Unfortunate Events books. I am actually missing a couple, so keep my eye out for those. We have The Bad Beginning, The Reptile Room, The Wide Window, The Ozat Elevator, The Village, The Vile Village, The Carnivorous Carnival, The Slippery Slope, The Grim Grotto, The Penultimate Peril, and The End, all written by Lemony Snicket. I believe I'm missing number 4, 5, and 8. But, yeah. We have 2 copies of The Tales of Beedle the Bard by J.K. Rowling. And then we come to my beloved set of Harry Potter. We have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Okay, now we're moving on to the bigger bookcase the actual bookcase in my room. And we are going to it's actually the 3rd shelf, but the other 2 shelves are used up by something else. And there's no organisation to this at all. It's just a big clusterfuck. So, enjoy! Okay, we have The Complete Tales by Beatrix Potter, Diana in the Pursuit of Love by Andrew Morton, Diana, Her True Story in her Own Words by Andrew Morton, Anita Cobby, The Crime That Shocked the Nation by Alan J. Whitaker, Redefining Realness by Janet Mock, She's Not There, A Life in Two Genders by Jennifer Finney Boylan, A Brilliant Madness by Robert M. Drake, The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, The Magic Faraway Tree Collection by Enid Blyton, The Dressmaker by Rosalie Ham, Follow the Rabbit-Proof Fence by Doris Pilkington. Bossy Pants, Tina Fey. Cujo by Stephen King. Terra Incognita Travels in Antarctica by Sarah Wheeler. A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. Notes from My Travels, Visits with Refugees in Africa, Cambodia, Pakistan and Ecuador by Angelina Jolie. Gurumul, His Life and Music by Robert Hillman. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I'm going to see if I actually enjoy this first book before I continue and purchase the other ones. The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. Mao's Last Dancer by Lee Kunzin. I might butcher some names here, my apologies. Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. Venom Doc by Brian Gregg Fry. Angels of Death by Emily Webb. In Order to Live, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom by Yeon Mi Park. The Writing Experiment by Hazel Smith, that's a university book. The Writing Book by Kate Granville, also a university book. A Passion for Narrative by Jack Hodgins, also a university book. The Creative Writing Handbook by John Singleton and Mary Luckhurst, also a university book. The Little Green Grammar Book by Mark Tendernick, also a university book. The Elements of Style, also a university book. Still Alice by Lisa Genova. Rafa, My Story by Rafael Nadal with John Carlin. The Bazaar of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. There's going to be a lot of these here. Lone Wolf by Jodi Picoult, which is signed. The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult. Leaving Time by Jodi Picoult. Handle with Care by Jodi Picoult. Change of Heart by Jodi Picoult. Sing You Home by Jodi Picoult, which is also signed. The Pact by Jodi Picoult. Picture Perfect by Jodi Picoult. Vanishing Acts by Jodi Picoult. Keeping Faith by Jodi Picoult. My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. It's a little hard to guess who my favourite author is, isn't it? Between the Lines by Jodi Picoult and her daughter Samantha Van Leer, which is also signed. Perfect Match by Jodi Picoult. Harvesting the Heart by Jodi Picoult. Plain Truth by Jodi Picoult. Songs of the Humpback Whale by Jodi Picoult. Salem Falls by Jodi Picoult. And 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult. Gaga by Terry Richardson. This is a photo collection book. Mythology, Timeless Tales of Gods and Heroes by Edith Hamilton. Carrie by Stephen King. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Aragon by Christopher Paolini. Eldest by Christopher Paolini. Follow the Rabbit-Proof Fence again by Doris Pilkington. The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. Paper Towns by John Green. The Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. Emma by Jane Austen. The Piano by Jane Campion and Kate Pullinger. Dissolution by C.J. Sansom. The Help by Catherine Stockett. Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. Australian Crime, Chilling Tales of Our Time, edited by Malcolm Brown. A Witch's Bible, The Complete Witch's Handbook by Janet and Stuart Farrer. Dingo, The Story of Our Mob by Sally Dingo. Career of Evil, a Comoran strike novel by Robert Galbraith, otherwise known as J.K. Rowling. I have the other two books, but they're buried deeper into the bookcase. Osho, Living Dangerously. His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We have book 1 through 5 by Cassandra Clare, and they are City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Souls. That's the Mortal Instruments series. Fallen and Torment by Lauren Kate, Hannibal by Thomas Harris, and Hannibal Rising by Thomas Harris, Priceless by Nicole Richie, The Shelters of Stone by Jean M. All. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I am so sorry. I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai, The Diary of Jack the Ripper, The 12 by Justin Cronin, The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, Ice Cream and Sadness, Cyanide and Happiness Volume 2, The Complete Works of Shakespeare, which is completely dilapidated, and I swear to God it was like the book that he wrote himself because it's that dilapidated. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Barracuda by Christos Tsiolkas, I think, Through Thick and Thin by Gokwan, Martin Misunderstood by Karen Slaughter, Fractured by Karen Slaughter, Fallen by Karen Slaughter, Criminal by Karen Slaughter, Blindsided by Karen Slaughter, A Faint Cold, Fear by Karen Slaughter, Genesis by Karen Slaughter. Believe it or not, I haven't actually read any of these Karen Slaughter books. They were given to me by my mum. Triptych by Karen Slaughter, Kiss Cut by Karen Slaughter, Faithless by Karen Slaughter, Indelible by Karen Slaughter, and On the Merits of Unnaturalness by Samantha Shannon, which is to do with the bone season. And now we're going to move on to the fourth shelf, which is technically the third shelf in this, little video. So let's see what we have. We have Looking for Alaska by John Green, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, What I Know for Sure by Oprah Winfrey, Blinky Bill by Dorothy Wall, Geisha of a Gion, the memoir of Minako Iwasaki with Randy Brown. These are some of the Animorph books that I have. I don't have all 50 or whatever there is, and it's really difficult to find them. But these are some of the ones that I have. It's a series that I really love. I never actually finished reading the series as a child, but I do have access to all of them as ebooks. So when I eventually finish that series, I'll actually do a review and kind of do like final thoughts type thing about it, because it is a series that I can compare to my childhood. And then we also have other Animorphs books. So we have Megamorphs number 1, we have Megamorphs number 3, we have the Andalite Chronicles, and we have the Hawk-Bajir Chronicles. Then we have Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, 12 Years a Slave by Solomon Northup, and we also have 12 Years a Slave, the Best Adapted Screenplay, that was submitted to the Academy Awards for review. I won that in a screenwriting class, which was shit. That class sucked, never do that. We have To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, It by Stephen King, Pet Sematary by Stephen King, Tender is the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald, Tomorrow When the War Began by John Marsden. I only have 1 or 2 of his books. I don't actually have the whole series, but I'll get there. The Iliad by Homer, The Green Mile by Stephen King, Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, On Writing, A Memoir of the Craft by Stephen King, The Lost Boys by Craig Shaw Gardner, Twelfth Night by Shakespeare, Moby Dick by Herman Melville, The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroy. Yep. Hostages. Yep, that's as much as it says. Hamlet by William Shakespeare. The Histories by Herodotus. After the First Death by Robert Cormier. The Lady of Abu Simbel by Kristen Schack, which is part of the Ramses series. Under the Western Acacia by Christian Jacques. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Schindler's List by Thomas Keneally. The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Incas, The Light of Machu Picchu by A.B. Daniel. I had to tilt this photo. Well, I had to tilt this book towards the light because the kind of gold imbued writing has faded so much that you can barely see it. We have Cirque and the Cyclops by Homer, Angels and Demons by Dan Brown, The Temple of a Million Years by Christian Jacques, Schindler's Ark by Thomas Keneally, The Son of Light by Christian Jacques, Edge of the Rain by Beverly Harper, Jaws by Peter Benchley, Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris, Red Dragon by Thomas Harris, Magician by Raymond E. Feist, Raymond F. Feist? No, E. Feist. Hey. The Beautiful and Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, 1984 by George Orwell, which was a blurry photo, but I took another one. Hey. Shakespeare's Sonnets, Heath Ledger, His Beautiful Life and Mysterious Death by John McShane, Witch by Eva Ibbotson, The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas by John Boyne, Loaded by Krista Tsialkis, Dr. Franklin's Island by Anne Hallam, Zombie, an Anthology of the Undead, edited by Christopher Golden, Complete Short Fiction by Oscar Wilde, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, Big Fish by Daniel Wallace, Julie and Julia by Julie Powell, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, Hulls by Louis or Louis Sacher, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button by F. Scott Fitzgerald, Delta by Kerry Davies, The Dead of the Night by John Marsden, Beyond Bad, The Life and Crimes of Catherine Knight, Australia's Hannibal by Sandra Lee. That was a terrifying book. The Devil's Garden, The Claremont Serial Killings by Debbie Marshall. When the Bow Breaks, The True Story of Child Killer Kathleen Folbig by Matthew Benz. The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Slumdog Millionaire by Vickers Swarup. 127 Hours by Aaron Ralston. Bleak House by Charles Dickens. Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. The Passage by Justin Cronin. Born or Bred, Martin Bryant, The Making of a Mass Murderer by Robert Wainwright and Paolo Totaro. I have 2 copies of A Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin. I actually mistakenly bought 2, thinking it was another book in the series, because I haven't actually read that series yet, but I kind of bought them all in one go, so I might give that away, or I don't know what I'm going to do with that, to be honest. A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. A Storm of Swords, Steel and Snow by George Martin. A Storm of Swords, Blood and Gold by George Martin. The Wolf of Wall Street by Jordan Belfort. Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. Life of Pi by Jan Martel. Persuasion and Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. Some dictionaries and thesauruses and shit that no one cares about. Me by Ricky Martin. Othello, The Tempest, The Tragedy of King Lear, Romeo and Juliet, and Hamlet again by William Shakespeare. My Side by David Beckham. Someone Else's Daughter, The Life and Death of Anita Cobby by Julia Shepherd. The Australian Crime File, a best collection of... Siri just popped up on my phone, go away Siri. The Australian Crime File, a best of collection of notorious true crime stories, Paul B. Kidd. Blake's Poetry and Designs, the Norton Critical Edition. The Return of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, which is also signed. Honest, My Story So Far by Talisa Kunter-Stavlos. My Trader's Heart by Rian Mallon. The Complete Illustrated Lewis Carroll. Fallen in Love by Lauren Kate. Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. The Complete Illustrated Stories of the Brothers Grimm. The Greek Myths by Robin Waterfield and Catherine Waterfield. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, The Slap by Christos Tsiolkas, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, Extreme, My Autobiography by Sharon Osbourne, The Horace Killings by Paul Doherty, The Mask of Ra by Paul Doherty, The Battle of Kadesh by Christian Jacques, Shadow of the Night by Deborah Harkness, The War of Crowns by Christian Jacques, Skin Privilege by Karen Slaughter, The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, otherwise known as J.K. Rowling, The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith / J.K. Rowling, Unbearable Lightness, A Story of Loss and Gain by Portia de Rossi, My Steve by Terry Irwin, Desert Flower by, Waris Deary, I believe, The Three Theban Plays by Sophocles, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I've read a very small amount of this because I know it's good. So I've kind of procrastinated on reading it, mostly because I know the third book isn't out, and I've had that book for 4 years, and I still know the third book isn't out, so I haven't bothered kind of going to it, because I know I'm going to be let down when the third book's still not out. Antony and Cleopatra by William Shakespeare, Death's Acre Inside the Legendary Body Farm by Bill Bass and John Jefferson, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops, More Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops by Jen Campbell. I bought these because I actually worked in a bookshop, so it was like reading about my life. The Precious Present by Spencer Johnson, which is a terrible photo. Best Loved Folktales of the World, selected and with an introduction by Joanna Cole. Misery by Stephen King. Memoirs of an Addicted Brain by Mark Lewis. Garden of Evil, The Granny Killer's Reign of Terror by Larry Reiter with Steve Barrett and Simon Buda. Magic and Mystery in Ancient Egypt by Christian Jacques. And that's it. Now we're moving on to the bottom shelf, the final shelf. We're almost there, and this is kind of more nature-y type books, reference-y type books, and also a lot of my spiritual books. So yeah, I'm not actually gonna include the tarot decks that I have there, because I might actually do a separate video on all tarot decks that I have, because I have about 25 decks, so we shall see. Quick side note, it's not, as I'm kind of looking through it at the moment, it's not as fully spiritual as I thought. There's a lot of like remnants and like stragglongs, and it's very eclectic down here. But what I actually wanted to say was, I wanted to give a shout out to Little Book Owl, Kaz, for actually inspiring me, one, to actually do this thing in the first place, including making my channel, including making a blog, including doing a book tour. She's an amazing person, and I'm so thankful that I actually have had the opportunity to study next to her at university. So shout out to her. Go check her out if you haven't. I'm hoping you have, because everyone should have. But yeah, alright, continuing on. Okay, we have A Rim of One's Own and Three Guineas by Virginia Woolf, Marley and Me by John Grogan, Life Behind Bars by Nee Korn, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, The Wolf Gift by Anne Rice, A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini, Anna's Story by Bronwyn Donaghy, The Cambridge Introduction to Narrative, 2nd edition, by H. Porter Abbott. It's a university book. The Law of Attraction Essential Collection by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And that includes The Law of Attraction, Money in the Law of Attraction, and The Vortex. My Own Story by Emmeline Pankhurst. Ask and It Is Given, Esther and Jerry Hicks. A hardcover copy of Me by Ricky Martin, which is signed. If You Ask Me, and of course you won't, by Betty White. His Dark Materials, trilogy by Philip Pullman, which includes The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. Wildflower by Drew Barrymore. The Book of Joan by Melissa Rivers. My Story, which includes A Child Called It, The Lost Boy, and A Man Named Dave by Dave Pelzer. The Murders in the Rue Morgue and Other Tales by Edgar Allan Poe. Sprinkle of Glitter, Life with a Sprinkle of Glitter by Louise Pentland. The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Mary and Mariah and Matilda by Mary Wollstonecraft and her daughter Mary Shelley. Millennium Hall by Sarah Scott. The Diva Rules by Michelle Visage. The Great Philosophers by Stephen Law. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. The Hand of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle. Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. The Monk by Matthew Lewis. The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. Dracula by Bram Stoker. The Bling Ring by Nancy Jo Sales. Blacktown by Shane Weaver. Psychic Intelligence by the Psychic Twins, Terry and Linda Jameson. Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. Reiki for Life by Penelope Quest. Dead White Males by David Williamson, a uni book. Spiritual Growth, Being Your Higher Self by Sanaya Roman, not a uni book. Opening to Channel by Sanaya Roman and Duane Packer. Practicing the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So, I'm Giving You the Finger, Cyanide and Happiness. The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. Getting Into the Vortex Guided Meditation CD and User Guide by Esther and Jerry Hicks. Co-Creating at Its Best, a conversation between master teachers by Dr. Dwayne Dyer and Esther Hicks. The Power by Rhonda Byrne. The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. Sacred Journey of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. Way of the Peaceful Warrior, a book that changes lives by Dan Millman. The Golden Louise L. Hay Collection, which includes You Can Heal Your Life, Heal Your Body, The Power is Within You. The Angel Therapy Handbook by Doreen Virtue. The Art of Happiness by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The Amazing Power of Deliberate Intent by Esther and Jerry Hicks. The Astonishing Power of Emotions by Esther and Jerry Hicks. Global Literary Theory edited by Richard J. Lane. That's a uni book that I will probably never touch in my life. My Story by Tom Daly. David Beckham by David Beckham. Original title. Light on Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar. Conversations with Myself by Nelson Mandela. Poems selected by Ted Hughes of Sylvia Plath. Diary of a Mad Diva by Joan Rivers. Reading Women, How the Great Books of Feminism Changed My Life by Stephanie Stoll. And The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf. And we're done. Thank God for that. And now, with my magical powers, I'm going to insert a video clip here of the end of the video where we're gonna all just pretend like I didn't pre-film it. Haha. And go! And we're done! Finished. Complete. Took a while, but we got there in the end. I had to take my scarf off, it was getting a bit too hot. Do you guys like my scarf? I think you would. I'll show it to you. So, it's a connected scarf. I actually have 2 of them. And you can see that it's printed with text. And that text is actually from Judy Pico's book, My Sister's Keeper. It's to buy one of the scarves, money goes to charity. So I bought 2 of the scarves for this and for Leaving Time, which I love. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. If you're still here, I gladly appreciate it. I'm going to go to bed and hopefully sleep away my sickness, or die, either way. Farewell, and I will see you next time in my bed.